So let's dive into the specifics of what the Opportunity Zone program is, what the exact incentives are over a 5, 7, 8, and 10-year period. And we're going to look at a side-by-side comparison of investing in a qualified Opportunity Zone project and a standard stock market investment. Good day, parceros. My name is Sam. I am a vlogger and a partner here at Life Afar. This is our Bogota office, and in today's video, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to talk opportunity zones, which is a very exciting new US tax code. If you are a US investor who has unrealized capital gains, this is the video for you. The Opportunity Zone program is incentivizing private capital to be invested in low-income, economically distressed communities of the United States. 52 million people live in these areas and have less jobs, less job satisfaction, as well as a range of other social issues. There's a strong focus on long-term, tangible growth in these areas. Thanks to the current boom cycle in the US economy, there's over $6.1 trillion in unrealized capital gains that is currently held by individuals and corporations. And all of that is applicable for the Opportunity Zones program. That means that capital, that energy is now being massively incentivized to invest into qualified Opportunity Zone projects for at least 10 years to generate long-term, stable, and tangible value. I hope you're starting to see why I believe this is potentially one of the most transformative economic development policies in recent history. So basically, the governors in every state and territory selected a portion of their low-income communities to be eligible for Opportunity Zone investment. They're spread out throughout both rural and urban areas. But to walk through exactly what the incentives are and how they play out in an actual qualified Opportunity Zone investment, let's go to one of the most overlooked and possibly one of the most beautiful Opportunity Zones there is, Old San Juan, Puerto Rico. So if you couldn't tell from the castle behind me, I'm in Viejo San Juan, one of the most historical parts of the island of Puerto Rico. Because of the situation here, 98% of the island is a designated Opportunity Zone, and it turns out the plans that we have for the building that I'm standing on is a qualified Opportunity Zone project. I'll tell you a bit more about that later in the video, but for now, let's take a look at exactly what are the Opportunity Zone incentives. There are various policies and guidelines in the program, but the three principal incentives are: number one, you can defer your owed or liable capital gains tax until your 2027 tax filing. This means you have more capital working on your behalf in the meantime. Number two, if you hold your capital gains in an Opportunity Zone investment for at least 5 years, and then you decide to realize those capital gains, you'll receive a reduction of 10% of your capital gains liability. After 7 years, you decide to realize those capital gains, you'll receive a 15% reduction of your capital gains liability. Now for the big one. If you've held your original capital gains investment inside an Opportunity Zone investment for at least 10 years and you decide to realize your capital gains, you will pay 0% capital gains tax on that investment. So to get the maximum benefit of this incentive, you do need to invest in an Opportunity Zone fund before December 31st, 2019. So these are powerful motivators to move capital into Opportunity Zones. We're going to start seeing new projects pop up in small business, infrastructure, commercial, and real estate. Which brings us to Life Afar. We are a real estate investment company that has been crowdfunding building rehabilitations for 10 years in Colombia. Now we're in Puerto Rico, and when we started over 2 years ago putting together this project right here, which is the Plaza Colón Hotel and Suites, the Opportunity Zone incentives didn't exist. At the time, this project still made sense, and with these incentives, it's getting even more interesting. So I think this is a perfect example to walk through these incentives and see exactly how they play out over the course of an Opportunity Zone investment. All right, so here it is. It's a pretty special building. We're in Old San Juan, a 500-year-old city that UNESCO considers outstanding universal value. We've got the cruise ship docks 4 blocks below, a castle 2 blocks this way, some of the liveliest nightlife a few blocks that way. This is the building that we'll be rehabbing into 31 units. It's going to be a mixture of hotel rooms and multi-bedroom suites. We're gonna have a rooftop bar, restaurant, terrace on the roof where I was just standing. There's also some nice ground floor commercial spaces as well. We're projecting the Plaza Colón Hotel and Suites investment to be generating a 14% net ROI and a 19% IRR. I'm going to be doing a different video exclusively about that project, and I'm going to include the investor kit with the full financials in the description if you want to download that and take a look at how we calculate our numbers. So in this example, let's say you've done really well in the stock market, the bond market, in crypto or real estate, and you have $100,000 in capital gains. Let's use the stock market as one example and the Plaza Colón Qualified Opportunity Zone project as the other example. To keep this comparison simple, let's project a 14% return on the stock market. Realistically, you're talking a 7 or 8% ROI from the stock market, but let's put it at 14% to compare side by side. To roll over your $100,000 into the stock market, you will need to realize those capital gains now, and you'll be paying at the full capital gains tax liability of 20%. Which will be $20,000. So you'll have $80,000 working for you over a 10-year period, at which point, if you're cashing out, you'll be paying again at the full capital gains tax liability rate of 20%. So after paying a $43,000 tax bill, the net value of your investment will be around $253,000. By the way, these numbers are before your state and personal tax situation, so please keep that in mind. Now let's say you were to roll over your $100,000 into a qualified opportunity zone project, for example, the Plaza Colón Hotel and Suites, link in the description. Using the same projections of 14% over a 10-year period, there's a couple things that are going to happen a little differently. First, you'll be rolling over your capital gains without paying taxes on those today, which means you'll have your full 100K working for you over those 10 years. After 5 years, you can cash out on a 10% discount of your capital gains investment. After 7 years, a 15% discount on your capital gains investment. After 8 years, you are required to file your taxes and pay your capital gains tax liability, which will have a reduction of 15%. This is where it gets very interesting for an investor. After the 10-year mark, their original $100,000 investment in a qualified opportunity zone project is not liable for capital gains tax. For our example, this means that the original $100,000 investment is now worth $353,000, and 0 of those dollars are liable for capital gains tax. Do remember, at a more realistic rate of return of about 7 or 8% in the stock market, you're looking at a net value of about $142,000. All right, we've gone through a lot of information. If you would like to have a personal conversation, I'm going to leave a link in the description where you can actually reserve a phone call and we can answer your questions about opportunity zones or our qualified opportunity zone project. So it's pretty incredible that where I am now, Viejo San Juan, actually qualified to be an opportunity zone. It's a 500-year-old Spanish fortress, and it's a UNESCO protected site, which means it has outstanding universal value. When you're considering different opportunity zones across the US, this is going to be one of the most interesting opportunity zones you'll find for a secure investment over a 10-year period. If you've been doing well in the stock market or any other investment, it may be a good time to sell high and buy low. I think it's an excellent program, and I'm looking forward to hearing and seeing some of the transformations that happen because of this program. Make sure to click like, click subscribe. The next video that I'm making will be a dedicated video about the Plaza Colón Hotel and Suites. I'm gonna leave it at that. I've got a lot of things to do here on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, so I'll see you guys in the next video.
Woo!